So in this class, what I'm going to focus on is on the aspects of Guru as it's explained in our scriptures, and also as it is followed in our Indian tradition, meaning the Vedic tradition. You know? So the nature of Guru, the manifestation of the Guru, the role of the Guru, and the role of the disciple and the student, and what is our connection. So we will try to address some of the points, such as is the Guru limited to a human form, or are we trying to find a Guru in one specific form, or are we trying to relate to the Guru just as somebody, like a teacher, like we go to a university, there are teachers. So is a Guru just like another teacher? So these are generally some questions. Or is a Guru like somebody who, these days we have all this data sources, right? We have Google. We have also nowadays artificial intelligence, So is Guru just another form of artificial intelligence, or is there any real intelligence there? So is it just, So those are some points. Hopefully, we'll try to cover at the beginning. And there are some basic understanding all of us have of what a Guru is. One kind of thing is a Guru is like a teacher. What we say, somebody like how we go to a school, we learn from a teacher. So in our traditional thing, Indian kind of concepts, the Guru starts from father, mother itself, because they are your first teachers. To say that the Guru is only the one who is giving you spiritual teachings or spiritual initiation is not accurate, because you have started learning right from your childhood. So you're not just things, but even spiritual values, right? Your cultural values, they're embedded since growing up. And then your teachers, what we say, acharyas, though they're also like a Guru because they have taught you certain things. They taught you how to learn language through which you're able to understand the teachings. So all of them are also taken into consideration. But the spiritual aspect of Guru is when you take somebody in form. So it starts with, in that sense, as somebody who is in a living form as your Guru. But that principle of Guru, what we call as Guru Tattwa. So this is the important concept in our Indian thing, that Guru Tattwa is something which is a principle. Now, I'll try to explain it in a more simple way. There are kind of two forces, opposite forces that works in nature. From a spiritual perspective, what we call as Parashakti, Aparashakti. What is this doing? One force is pulling you towards the world. Meaning, what I mean by world is, it is pulling you towards achieving a lot of things in the world, getting wealth, getting money, all that worldly activities we are doing. So this is a force which, what happens is, if you are not careful with this force, what happens is you get completely identified with this. And this force, what happens is slowly it will lead you to constant agitation, stress, emotions, negativity, an endless kind of flow. And this force, is kind of somewhat instinctive in us, and also supported by the society, by culture, everything. And we naturally gravitate towards this, because this is there is a path of least resistance, as you say. You go with this naturally. Why? Because this is our like a reptilian brain, like our animal aspect of brain, which operates on this fight or flight patterns. So what does it do? I want more, I want security, I want this. So it is an endless pursuit. We keep going in that. But what happens is that aspect of that brain will never lead you to peace. It will never lead you to happiness. It will never lead you to what we call as Purnatvam. Like the word Purnima, the full moon, we say, right? What we are trying to do is Purnatva, meaning that fullness. It'll always make us feel insecure, incomplete. I need something or someone to complete me. This is a constant sense of feeling in us. So this is that one force. The other force is a very subtler force. It is not like, it doesn't have billboards, it doesn't have advertisements, there's like nothing that stands in the face. And this is a subtle kind of force that is pulling us. What is it pulling us towards? It is pulling us towards that, firstly, that sense of deeper peace, that deeper joy. But more importantly, to the true aspect of our being, what we call as our higher self or true self. In that true self is that completeness we can find, where I, the Guru, the God, all are one. So this is the fundamental thing. Now, what happens is that portal, where the channels through which we go to the world and activities are millions, but the channel through which we go inward, is usually, it's like one channel. Meaning it doesn't have to be literally taken as one person or one source. Meaning it is like there is only one kind of subtle force that's pulling us inward. And this subtle force, is depicted in many ways in our Indian things. Like, when we even say that, everything began with Om. We say the creation started from Om. Meaning, like even in the Bible, I think it said, in the beginning was a word, and all that. So that is two ways. One is it drives you outward, but it also drives you inward. So this source for us is this, what is called as the Guru Tattwa. That's the energy. The energy that takes you, this energy that's taking you outward is the energy that's pulling you inward. So this Guru Tattva manifests to us initially through one form. And then it can manifest in many other forms also as we go. But the channel for that opening, it starts with one form. And slowly what happens is that energy, what was taken as that saguna or that form of that Guru, becomes like voices we hear through other channels also. It can be other teachers, and then what we also, it manifests in terms of scriptures also, in terms of books or knowledge and all that. So that once that channel is open for us in this life, then it can come through either through different teachers or different scriptures, or through what we call as the phenomena of the world, like certain sublime things in the world. Like for those of us sannyasis living here, like even the Ganga and Himalayas are our gurus, because that channel has opened up, and our vision is like, now anything that leads me inward, when I look at that flowing energy, continuous flowing energy of Ganga, purifying, there is this constant purification that I'm connecting to, so like that, and all the symbolic references, they also lead us. And ultimately, where the Guru Tattva leads us to is that we really understand our higher self, our true self. So this journey, inward journey, is facilitated to us through this form of the Guru, but that form of the Guru manifests in what is called as the Guru Tattva, that energy, that principle, working through different means, until we realize that Guru is no other than that Brahman or ourselves, our own higher self. So this pointer, what the real purpose of that Guru is to point to your inner Guru, meaning that higher self in you. So the idea when we talk about the Guru, we start with that worship and all that to the Guru, because we think of worldly things, right? So we take some form, we worship that form, but it is not that we stay stuck there. It is just a pointer. to something which is very deep and sublime, which is that inner connection. Okay. Now, having said that, I will try to give you a context from these some of these those shlokas which I had presented before. Um, But generally, what happens is what that guru represents is a tradition, that sampradaya, that lineage. So in our Vedic scriptures, the guru starts, like as I mentioned, either Dakshinamurti, who was a form of God, or that what we say scripturally from Veda Vyasa. So in our ashrams and all, we have Vyasa Puja when we start with, before we worship any acharyas, any gurus, we first worship Vyasa. Why? Because Vyasa is the one who put all the scriptures together, right? Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Sutra, and many Puranas, all of them have been put together by Vyasa. So he's the one who made the scriptures available to us. And all the realized sages, endorsed that, or they followed that tradition. So this is why even if the physical form of guru is lost to us, that teaching is available to us. That teaching is never lost. Through all these scriptures and the sampradaya, meaning the tradition through which, and this is the rich heritage of Indian things. So this is that manifestation of the guru. How does the guru manifest? At 3 levels. The first is, we talked about it, the physical form, whom you take to be the guru, or that tradition of your guru you take to be that the physical aspect of the guru. The other is that knowledge aspect. And this knowledge aspect is the most subtle thing, just as how we have physical body and subtle body, the wisdom, knowledge aspect works at that subtle level. And even if you follow the yogic tradition also, it is like that, because all the practices, what they're doing is they're trying to awaken in you that subtle aspect of wisdom. And this is what is called as Ritambara Prajna, in the Yoga Sutras, it will come, Ritambara Prajna. And there also, where it is said as the first guru, this is, we do Ishvara Pranidhana. Ishvara is considered the first guru. Just as how we take Dakshinamurti as a form of Ishvara. Like that, the Ishvara is the first guru. And he's called as Purvesham Api Guru. He's the first guru of all the gurus. So this is how we take the subtle aspect of the guru, which comes through knowledge, wisdom. And this, what it does is, this works at 2 levels. One is through direct understanding of that scriptures. So, but what happens is, many times, like the scriptures by themselves will not give us that wisdom, right? Like as I was talking, in some sense, you may learn all the scriptures, but yet it may not become my understanding, my experience. So what the teacher is actually transmitting to us, is there is a subtle, see, when we also do our classes and all that, right? When we are working with the teachers, it works at the physical level, okay, where the words you're hearing and the notes you're referring to and all that. And this is why, like sometimes we say you should be in eye contact with the guru as much, right? Not necessarily but in physical presence also, or in like what we are doing, video presence, something like that, where what happens with that is there is a subtle level the teaching goes through. And I was actually reading long time ago some scientific article where they agree that only about 10% of the knowledge is actually transmitted through the words. A lot of the knowledge and wisdom are transmitted in a much more subtle way in the presence of the teacher. So like that, the lot of this subtle transmission of wisdom, knowledge is happening. And then there is one more higher level. And this is at what the third aspect is, that guru is that, what the manifestation of the guru is the form of silence, meaning the all-pervading aspect of the guru. Brahman, we say. Brahman is the silence. And this is why in one of the invocatory verses to Dakshinamurti's slokam, it says, Maunam Vyakya Prakatita, Parabrahma Tattvam Yuvanam. The teacher, Dakshinamurti, has so many rishis sitting around him. Dakshinamurti himself is a young teacher, you see him sitting. But he has very aged, long, rishis, very old. And they're all sitting all around him. And what is he doing? He's not talking. He's just sitting in silence. And through his silence, they're illumined. Connection also sometimes we have established when we say, sometimes being in the presence of a guru in silence. Like some places we visit, some holy places where people, sacred, so, even here in the Himalayas, many people have done a lot of sadhana. So there, when we go, sometimes we just sit in silence. Why? Because there is some kind of a subtle kind of things that works at that level. So that is that silence, that is also a form of teaching. The teacher, the guru is working at that level of silence also. So then the highest self, what we said is that guru, when our vision changes, then what happens is it's only at that level. See, a lot of times people say guru works in different ways. These are more a lot of people who don't want to follow the discipline of being with the guru or studying with the guru. Generally, like an easy way is to say like the guru will manifest in any way. One way is people say, okay, it will work only through scriptures. The other extreme is to say that I just don't need any guru. Guru will work through anything. See, like generally, what happens is until your vision, your attunement, your receptivity is cleansed, that your ability to tune into the guru in nature also is not there. So why? Because we are stuck with our level of understanding. So even if I just say that I will sit in silence and the teaching will happen, we are not ready for that. So this is where, that when our vision transmits, then this, what we call this intuition, this inner knowing, all that will slowly start awakening. Until we don't have that right wisdom, until we haven't done that practice, that, that kind of notion where we have sometimes even like, people sometimes have told me, even a little child can give me the wisdom. No, that is actually okay at that level, but it's not that kind of true wisdom. Once or twice, you may be lost and somebody may say something and that will hit you. But that is not that consistent source of wisdom, that channel that you are looking at. So these are some of the other concepts related to the guru. Now that I've told a lot about the guru, I think it's only fair that I should talk a little bit about the role of a disciple also. So for just another 5-10 minutes, I'll try to see the role of a disciple. There is a lot to say, but the thing is, it is not something that we have to look upon ourselves. The guru will never tell you this is the specific role. There are, of course, teachings and all that. But one important thing which we have to understand is that it comes in the Bhagavad Gita, where before the Lord Krishna gives teaching to Arjuna, they were both friends and cousins, for a long time. Until that time, they just were buddies, and Krishna never gave even an inkling that he had all this wisdom to impart to him. But in the battlefield, Arjuna almost was, has dropped to the knees because he was what you call like a panic attack or an anxiety attack, whatever, he could not. So then he said, okay, since this Krishna has been my relative and my buddy, let me ask him, So that's the time then he kind of realized that this is what happens, right? Like we say, when you are ready, the teacher, you identify that, not that really the teacher will come out of nowhere. You will just identify that, oh yeah, I can get this from this teacher, So that when we are ready, that receptiveness, what happens is that's when in that, in the Bhagavad Gita also, it's only when Arjuna kind of completely surrenders, and he says, I'm your Shishya, I'm your student. Give me a higher understanding. Help me out of this. That is when the teaching starts, So this kind of surrender, this aspect of surrender, it is not sometimes, of course, it is misinterpreted, but that surrender is a inward surrender, a mental surrender. Why we surrender? It is not specifically we are surrendering to one person as such. We are surrendering with faith to that divinity which is pulling us towards that person, towards that understanding from that. And it's not that Guru will always tell us things that is pleasing, right? Especially if you're in close contact, those of you who have lived in ashrams, it is not like the Guru is always kind of praising you or giving you everything you want, So there is also going to be like sometimes where we feel like, okay, maybe this person doesn't understand. So all our thoughts, everything will start playing out, And the longer you stay, sometimes the more kind of negativity sometimes we may end up having, because our own mind is causing us so much of confusion, And this is the time where that element of little bit of that heart element, that faith element, that little bit of surrender element helps. Why? Because if we intellectually try to figure out, we'll always be subject to doubts, and we will come to the conclusion that somehow, this doesn't serve my self-interest. So what we take refuge is not so much at that time in that form or in that tradition or in that ashram. We take refuge so much in that continuity of that principle which is pulling me inward. Just as how there is that force which is directing me outside, there is that force which is pulling me inward. So if I am open and receptive, somehow, even if that Guru is wrong or if that ashram is doing something which is not right, you will be directed through some means or something to the right thing. And so that kind of thing, you have to see that in work. That's when the faith will come in that. So you don't have to directly believe in it, just as how Swami Vivekananda used to say, he said, I'm an atheist, or I started off as an atheist, but I sought out to go to the end of the world to find out this aspect about God. I will try it, put it in practice and see. So like that, we should be willing to do our complete effort. So what that happens is that then at that point, that we start seeing that attunement open up in us, that receptivity, and that time is when we don't necessarily need to be in presence of that Guru, that is when that all channels start working to us, and we may find somebody somewhere else. So this is where, like sometimes what happens is that blind belief also, to just say like, okay, I have to always be there in this ashram or with the teacher, is also that limits us. Why? Because that wisdom is that Guru Tattwa is pulling us higher. So many times, when we studied with our teachers, they would say, go study with that teacher, go study with that teacher, because they see our inclination is there, and within there means they're not able to provide that. So they say, go study there, go study here. And that is exactly right what we need at that time. So similarly, that moving on in our life requires that kind of thing, because each of us is different. There is no one kind of specific thing. And this is why Guru is not the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is also created. It is like designed to work in a certain way. So what that real Guru or the Guru Tattva is doing is, it is the original intelligence, the most original intelligence, And what it's trying to awaken in you is also that original intelligence in you. It is trying to say, you have that original intelligence, awaken that. So that is with the, I think this is a good overall understanding. And main aspect is that Guru Purnima is a good day. So even if if you don't have a physical guru, or if you're not in the presence of physical guru, you can offer your gratitude. You can in whatever way or make some offering, or you can say some prayers, and you can try to feel that attunement, visualize their presence. And most importantly, you realize that the three aspects of the Guru, which is in one of the Dakshinamurti invocations, which we generally do. There it says, Ishvaro Guru Ratmeti, Murti Beda Vibhagine. What that means is Ishvara, meaning God. So there is Ishvaro, that physical Guru, and yourself, your higher self. Murti Beda Vibhagine. There's no difference between these two. The God, that form of that Guru you are worshipping, and your own higher self. There is no difference between these three. And this understanding is when we are attuned to Guru, we start seeing this. That what that Guru is, that there is no difference between me and that Guru. And there is no incompleteness in me. That Purnatvam is always there. But now what happens is, I still feel that incompleteness. So what I do is, I take that Guru as the one who's going to point me to that completeness, or is going to lead me to that completeness. That Purnima, we say, that Purnatvam. Because it's only when we feel complete that all my restlessness, my striving, my struggling, my constant ceaseless pursuits of life, they will come to an end naturally and bring me to that peace, joy.